Hey there, it's Jamie from Jamie Riddler Studios, and I am so happy to be here with you today. It's been a while, and so I wanted to be here and share a little bit about what's been going on, what's bubbling, and a little bit about what I'm learning about the creative process, how it's impacting me and the work that I do in the world. And I'm sure, at least I hope, there'll be some things here that resonate with you too. One of the things that I've noticed about the arts and creativity is that they have a certain rhythm, right? Our creative energy has this sort of rhythm like this. Maybe it's a little longer. And it's a rhythm of ups and downs. It's a rhythm of expression and also reception. There's moments of stillness. And the more we as artists, as creative people can tune into, be sensitive to that dance, the more we can show up fully to it. It's like art and the sort of creative fire has its own energy. And sometimes it comes and whispers in our ear, and we think, oh, yes, yes, thank you. I'll say yes to this dance. And then we go through the process of creating. We go through the process of starting a new practice. We make a new project. And somehow through that interaction, through that journey, through that adventure that has its own ups and downs, we bring something to life. And through it, we are brought to life too. Now, what's been going on for me for the last little while is I feel like my rhythm was long and deep. And it's almost like over the past year or so, it's like all my creative energy pulled back like the ocean for the tide. It just went like this, came inside, and then it rumbled around, teaching me and telling me what it wanted to be. And it's just getting ready to come out like this. And it's taken longer than I expected, which is par for the course. Anybody else underestimate the time something's going to take? I do it all the time. For me, it's like once I have an idea or project in my spirit, it's already happened. And so there's a way it's very present to me. And I'm always surprised that it actually has to roll out over time. But that is a part of being a creative person in an earthly life is learning to work with the physical world, the earthly world, and time and space and resources. That is a part of the skills we're learning as creative magicians that we're learning to master. So, I have big things coming for you next year, and I have beautiful things that are still here. And I thought a way to share them with you, and I'm keeping the new stuff close to my chest until it's more ready. It's still in a little creative incubator growing. And my hope is that by spring, it'll be strong enough to come out in the world. And in the meantime, I want to share with you what is going on in the studio. And I have some questions that I think will help guide whether these things are for you. The first question I want to explore is how do I bring more awareness to myself as an artist and to my creative life? And the answer to that to me is always practice. It is all the things that are involved in a creative practice. It is showing up for your art. It is listening, paying attention to what we see, what we hear, what we feel in our bodies. It's giving it some primacy too. Simply deciding that the question, who am I as an artist and how do I bring my creativity to life? Paying attention to that on a regular basis, even that starts the magic. It starts aligning your life to what matters to you. It starts paying attention, putting that part of you, those kinds of concerns at the center or even at the edges of your day. Sometimes it starts at the edges with the times we find in between, before and after. Doesn't matter if we water that seed of How can I nourish my creative heart? How can I every day become more and more focused on my art, on myself as a creative spirit, and on what truly matters to me? And if that's a question that feels like, oh, Jamie, yes, I want to explore that question. Like that feels like where I am. Then I want to encourage you to consider the studio yearbook. So this is my studio yearbook. I've got it open at a page that sort of shows you what it looks like. It is my journal, so it's a little private. But here are some empty pages. It's a seasonal guided creative practice. It's a studio, honestly, in a journal. And it takes you through activities every day, like having an active inspiration practice, looking for inspiration every single day, acknowledging what you create every day, whether that's a painting or a picnic or a potluck. And also, this one's really important too, insight. What did you learn about yourself as an artist every day? Just a simple reminder. You can write in one or two sentences that say, "This is me." But it takes you through the entire season, paying attention to the new moon, dreaming under the full moon. I'll show you my most recent dream board. Dreaming under the full moon, learning what your focus areas are, which are the things that truly matter to you. This is my most recent dream board. Sigh. Hi, there's lots of clues in there about what's to come. It really gives you a container to guide you through the rhythms of a season and the rhythms of your creative life. So if it feels like the thing that would support your creative life the most is just giving it some attention, bringing some awareness to who you are as an artist, getting into a practice of showing up, of thinking like a creative being. The studio yearbook will guide you and hold you, and then also give you a treasure book at the end filled with reminders of the life you lived during this season. And I know I treasure mine, and the people who've been doing it with me for years treasure theirs too. One of the other things you might be thinking about as we draw to the end of the year is, oh, as I move into the new year, how can I be in more alignment? How can I start to wrangle my life so it represents more fully who I actually am and what I actually want? And this is the work we do in Planning Day. This is a half day retreat that's coming up, and we go through a beautiful process. It's coming up December 1st. I'm going to leave the links to all of this. It's a yearly year end ritual in the studio, a big favorite. And we cast back over the past year all the things we've learned, all the things we've done, all the ways we have become, and then we cast forward into the new year with a strong sense of what matters. And I use a few different techniques to get you beyond the sort of immediate rote response you have every time you sit down and make your plans, right? Because that's just what we do. We just keep creating new plans that try to more and more effectively keep us on path. But are we on the right path? Are we on a meaningful path? Are we on a fulfilling path? Taking the time once a year to sit down at planning day and determine, "Mm, this is what matters to me. This is what I want to base my plans on, not that, this." It changes everything. And learning how to work with focus areas, which is a process I have for identifying your true priorities and then building your plans on that. This I work with this every single week. This is how I do my planning all the time. Is I start with what matters and I build my plans from there. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do in planning day. So if that question of how do I make my life more and more like what I desire, come to planning day. And then lastly, I want to talk to you about your relationship with your art. What is it? If your art were a person, a fairy, a spirit, an energy, then and I was to ask your art, "Hey, what's the deal with you 2? What's your relationship?" What would your art tell me? What would they say? What would you say? And then the next question is, what do you want it to be? What do you want it to be like? Like, I want my relationship with my art to be like best friends who cheer each other on, like best friends who share adventures and grow together, best friends who prod each other on, who are the ones that said, should we do that? Oh, yes. Oh, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Like, and wise best friends, like the best friend who also goes, you know, you should do this because, and then knows you so deeply, just as you know her. Mm. If you are interested in deepening and strengthening your relationship with your art, then devotion is for you. This is my signature program here in the studio, and I'm welcoming people in for this winter. It's always an intimate group because I want us to be able to see one another and hear one another and really be on the journey together. Sometimes we have a tenuous relationship with our art. We know we love it, but it's not a part of our everyday, or we know it's important to us, more important than we care to admit, because maybe our family or friends haven't always been supportive, or our teachers haven't been supportive. So we know, like, actually, the truth is, we want art to be at the center of our lives. It's how we understand ourselves, it's how we understand the world. It can also be that we have a what looks like a really strong relationship with our art. Like if anybody else was to say, they say, "Oh yeah, you know, so and so is a dancer, of course," or "So and so is a writer, that's what they do," or "So and so, oh yeah, she has an Etsy shop and she sells her jewelry or her crochet or whatever it is." And so it looks like, wow, you must have a really strong relationship with your art because you're making it all the time. But in fact, you've lost some of that loving feeling because you're so involved in the commerce of it. You're so connected to what other people like, you're cultivating the relationship other people have with your art. And so maybe that is like, you think, oh, everybody loves inspirational sayings. So I'm just going to work on creating a series on inspirational sayings when really your heart's saying, turtles, just want to paint turtles, right? And so, whatever the reason that you may have, just you're not as tight, you're not as close, you're not as loving, you're not as connected as you want to be with your art, come spend the winter with me. 3 months immersed in your artwork, 3 months dedicated to building a body of work that is soul inspired, 3 months to just embrace yourself as an artist and be the artist you truly are, not how you feel you're supposed to show up, not how, not hiding and keeping it private and separate and alone, but being one with your artist's self, being doing some soul retrieval, being whole. And once you develop that deep and lasting relationship with your art, you'll never let it go. So, this is the kind of work I am developing in the studio, all of it designed to help you align with your creative soul, to really, when you know in your heart that this is who you are and this is your calling and this is what you're meant to do, then saying yes to building a life where art and creativity and you as an artist is central to the perspective, to the choices, to the decisions, to the activities, to the friends, to the community. It just becomes a part of who you are in the world. It's so freeing to just be exactly who you are. So that's what I want for you. I happen to specialize in helping artists be exactly who they are. But for everyone, this is what I want for now and for always. That you can ease into with safety and strength, moving through this world, living a life and expressing the truth of exactly who you are. Let's all make a world where that is encouraged and that is possible, that is safe and that is expected. I'm sending great love to you all. It is wonderful to be back. I would totally forgot to mention that another thing that I'm doing that is coming soon is I am retooling the Creative Living with Jamie podcast. It's going to be on video too. It is going to be an expanded show, and the first episode is coming out soon. Thanks so much for spending this time with me. I hope you'll hop on over to openthedoor.ca and sign up for one of these wonderful offerings, the one that held some answers to the questions that had resonance in your creative